Today, we're talking about reefers. In this video, I'm going to show you all about refrigerated units. People ask me a lot of questions about them, and it's not as difficult as a lot of people would make out. They're interesting, and there's a lot of science behind them. So, we're going to jump into it, and I'm going to show you how they work. The average refrigerated trailer you're going to see on the highway is most likely going to be a 53-foot, 102-inch wide trailer. But they do come in other sizes too. They are 43 feet long, they are 28 feet long, they're 30 feet long, they have single axles, and they have double axles. And there's a lot of science behind them. So let's jump into some of that and I'll show you how it works. Refrigerated trucks have been around for almost as long as people have been shopping groceries in one form or another. They take all shapes and sizes, have wooden floors or aluminum floors, and come in all lengths. The one thing that's the hardest to explain to people, especially customers and people you're picking up, is a refrigerated trailer is not a refrigerator. It does not cool products off. It actually just maintains the cool of the product. It's not designed to cool things. It's designed to cool the box, but once the box gets to a specific temperature, it's designed to maintain the cool of the product. Now, if I put a hot box on the trailer, you can guarantee that that box will still be hot 4 days later. It doesn't cool. So that's the one thing that I've had to explain to a lot of people. They are a refrigerated unit, but they're not designed for cooling. They're designed to maintain the cool of the product that's put in. Now, you say, well, you cool off the trailer before you get it loaded. Well, that's true. You do have to cool off the walls and sides, and it will cool off the air inside the trailer. But it will not cool product. They're not designed for that. So, that's something I found really interesting when I started pulling refrigerated trailer, and it's been the hardest thing I've had to explain to people. So when it comes time to unload your trailer, I'm going to show you what it looks like loaded up. So we got all the stuff in here, but we'll take a look at it once it's empty. Now this trailer was loaded running at -20, so we'll talk about that. This is the unit. The unit behind me is a completely self-contained carrier unit. Now, when a lot of these companies buy these trailers, they buy them without units and fit their own units on them. That's the reason that sometimes you'll see a trailer that's 2 years old with a unit that's 10. Units are expensive, so if they can recycle and reuse, they will. But as for this, I can't tell you that. It is a fairly new unit. The unit is designed to, basically, it has its own little diesel engine in it, and it's designed to run independently of the truck. So it has its own computer in it, its own ECU, its own everything, its own fuel source too. So no matter what happens with the truck, this thing is completely independent of it. These carrier units are pretty cool. They have a little 4-cylinder diesel engine. You know, it's hooked up to a compressor and all that. It's got the compressor here, the radiators up here, exhaust and all that. It's actually a really cool little deal. These are all diesel units because to get any other kind of fuel for these is just not practical. You have the diesel pump with your semi. The trailer needs to run on diesel too. Now, the interesting thing is, since it's not actually moving a vehicle, you can run this on red diesel. You can't run your truck, but since the engine does not supply power to anything moving on the ground, it's exempt, so you can run tax-free farm diesel in it. The way these things operate hasn't changed for 100 years, but the functions have. I mean, they went from being completely analog and non-digital and mechanical to just with more technology than your smartphone, but the principles still remain the same. In my last video, I showed you that it snowed inside my trailer, so let me show you how that happened. It's actually kind of neat. You have your refrigerated unit right here, and it's got this air duct which recirculates air through here, brings it all the way back in the bottom, and brings it back up. Well, this is all dry air. But when the super cold dry air hits the moisture that was in the trailer because the humidity was, it naturally just creates snow. So it snowed all the way down. Back in the old days, drivers used to own their own pallets, so they would set their product on their pallets, and that allowed the air to circulate under them so you could get it on all 6 sides, the cooling effect. But you know, there were still floor loads, but so what you have now is these ribbed floors. Let me show you. While I haven't had a chance to wash this out yet, what happens with these is the air will circulate through these ribs, and if you have a floor load, it will actually cool. That way, if you have to stack things on the floor, you can still get all 6 sides. So that actually makes it really handy. And instead of wood, now they're using aluminum, and that builds a little bit of a stronger trailer and makes it just a little bit lighter. So you got a plus on 2 sides. As you see, we got drain holes in the front. We're getting washed out right now. All the stuff's coming out the back. We also have drain holes under here too to help out. We got it all washed out. Looks a whole lot better clean. The way a lot of these work is pretty straightforward. You got the set point, gauges, sensor, menu. We're going to change the setting. Hit the set point. And then we're going to take it from -20. We're going to take it all the way up because we're got to get the thing heated up so we can dry it out. There we go. Are we okay with that? Yes. And then we're good. Washing out your trailer is one of those things you have to do from time to time. It's necessary. A lot of customers require that you have a clean trailer. So the one I'm going to didn't, but the trailer was filthy enough with enough moisture that it caused a lot of mud, so we had to get all that washed out. I was hoping to have a dry van to do some comparison to so I could show you the difference between a refrigerated trailer and a dry van. They both do the same thing, but the dry vans are built a little lighter. Let me show you. This is the door on a dry van. It's fairly thin. It's not insulated, and the walls are the same way too. They build them strong, of course, but lightweight. On a refrigerated trailer, all that extra insulation adds to a lot of extra weight, but it does the purpose. If you look at the doors on a refrigerated trailer, they're actually quite thick. Let me go see if I can show you. I did find an empty dry van, so let's go on a quick tour to show you the difference between that and the refrigerated one. On these, you see the doors are quite thin, of course, and the walls are actually quite thin too. They're just basic roof, basic wooden floor, very easy to sweep, and a nice bulkhead up there. Dry vans are very rudimentary, but they do their job. And there's a lot of technology in these, not like the refrigerated units, but these have their own place. To give you an idea of what we're dealing with here, these doors are about 4.5 to 5 inches wide. There's insulation like this all through it. That way it stays nice and cool or nice and hot or whatever temperature it needs to be at. As you saw, there's quite a significant difference between a dry van and a refrigerated van, but each serves its purpose in the grand scheme of things. the neat thing about the refrigerated van, as I kind of hit on earlier, was that a lot of companies will buy the trailer itself and then put on their own refrigerated units, and they'll swap them from unit to unit, or if they buy a new trailer or they rebuild them. That's kind of a big market. A fully furnished refrigerated trailer is very expensive. A brand new one will run you $70,000. But the technology in them is astounding. They have everything from GPS to GPS tracking to wireless and remote tracking. They can control the refrigerated unit remotely. You can get ones with spread axles, lift axles, all sorts of cameras. I've had ones with cameras mounted inside, and every time you'd open the doors, the cameras would come on and monitor the inside of the trailer. It's just the technology on these is astounding. I don't even know where to go from that. The trailers that had the cameras were pharmaceutical grade trailers, and they wanted to know everything. They monitored the GPS locators on the trailers, cameras on the insides of the trailers, just all sorts of technology. They could remotely monitor the refrigerated unit from anywhere in the world. So the technology is really quite significant. But a lot of companies do save money. They'll they'll sell off an old trailer, and they'll keep their unit and then buy a brand new trailer and put their unit on it. If there's nothing wrong with the unit, why bother? And there's a couple different companies that do make units. Thermo King and Carrier are two of the main ones. I personally like a Thermo King. I think they're quieter. But Carrier makes a good unit too. So there's a lot going on with these, especially technology-wise. A lot of guys don't like them because they're loud, but truthfully, if you've pulled one for a while, it's not going to bother you as much as you think. And a lot of these new units are very quiet. They've quieted them down quite a bit because of all the areas we have to go to in the big towns. You want your decibel noise down. The neighbors will complain if there's just a constant humming all night. So, it's just one of those things. What's kind of funny is I never wanted a haul refrigerated van. I hauled grain hoppers and tankers, flatbed, auto transport for a little while. That was interesting and disastrous at the same time. And eventually I just needed a job, so I got on with a road company that hauled dry van. I didn't want to deal with the refrigerated. I just didn't want the hassle. And about the same time I got hired on by the dry van company, they were bought out by a refrigerated company. They're out of Waterloo, Iowa. And suddenly I found myself hauling refrigerated. And I've kind of been stuck there ever since. Hasn't been bad. But all that aside, when we go back to talking about the trailers, it's all about what you make it. The dry vans, if you get with a good company that takes care of their equipment, they're no problem. Not at all. If you get with a company that does not take care of your equipment, like anything else, they break down and they have problems. You have to maintain them the same way you do anything. The refrigerated trailers have to have oil changes and belt changes, and you've got to check the fluids and whatnot, and it's maintenance. So anyhow, I thought you might enjoy a tour of a refrigerated van and just show you how it works and the different ins and outs of it, and basically what it is. So I hope you liked it. If you have any questions, please let me know. I hope you like the channel. Please like, share, subscribe. We'll catch you later.